Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekly Manga Recap. It's December 3rd, 2025, which means everybody pull your release levers, drop down all the snow decorations and the red hats and stuff like that. It's that time of year again. Well, for most of you. I mean, I try to just kind of like ignore everything that happens around this time as much as I can, which is very hard because people want me to go places around this time of year. So
Nick, we have to get groceries. Like, I don't care about holiday it is.
No, we're going to starve to death if we don't get groceries.
I don't want to be a part of this Christmas. Bah humbug.
You won't get eggnog, though? Oh, okay, fine.
You got to get out for that, then. Can I tell you how annoyed I was? Because there was one night recently, and I had eggnog. My boyfriend very thoughtfully knew that I liked it, picked up some. I was like, oh, but I'm not supposed to have it. But you know what? Fine, little treat. I had like half a thing of eggnog left, and then woke up one morning, came into the kitchen, and found the fridge door propped open just enough. And I was like, all right, well, everything dairy's got to go now. So
Yeah.
had to toss that out, but maybe for the best ultimately. What are you going to do?
All right.
Nick, do you have any wild Thanksgiving stories?
I don't have any wild stories. I had a very nice extended weekend with the holidays. I did do a little bit of work from home on Friday, but other than that, I basically had a 4-day weekend with Nicole, and we had Thanksgiving together with a bit of family. On Saturday, we went to see the Zootopia movie and the Wicked movie. So we doubled up on that, and then Sunday we watched all of Stranger Things. So,
Oh, wow. Okay. What was your favorite of all those you saw over the weekend?
probably Zootopia. It was very, very good. I had complaints about the second Wicked when we saw it. I've shared a few of those thoughts on my BlueSky. BlueSky.app/Nick of Time. But it essentially boiled down to, I listed a complaint and Nicole would say, well, it was like that in the musical. And I was like, well, then fuck the musical. It's bad writing in the musical then.
You know what? They're like, that's the way it is in the book. You're like, all right, well, I'm going to go beat up
fuck the book.
R.L. Stein or whoever the fuck wrote that book. I don't know.
That would be such a weird thing to discover at this stage. Just watching the opening credits of Wicked, the second one, as see R.L. Stein in the credits.
And somebody's like, what? That isn't the original Wizard of Oz from it wasn't the movie from the 30s?
R.L. Stein, the 19th century novelist.
They're like, well, that was R.L. Stein's father. It's actually, it seems like it's a hereditary
Roald
title.
L. Stein.
But it's actually like a title that carries on. Like, there must always be an R.L. Stein somewhere creating books that we all enjoy.
This sounds bizarrely nefarious for such a whimsical idea, though.
I mean, is it nefarious if he brings us a lot of joy and profits off of it, and the bones of a couple endangered tigers are the cost to keep him looking young forever?
Oh dear, wait. This feels like a different premise. Hold on.
It's a couple tigers we're not even going to miss anymore. They're just protecting something that shouldn't be protected anymore anyway.
I feel like I'm not getting all the lore here.
It's fine. That's like Fire Emblem, Nick. Have I told you I'm playing Fire Emblem The Three Houses recently? Which is a game...
I think you briefly mentioned it.
Yeah, a game defined by having 3 different paths, technically 4, that you can take your characters on. And in my mind, I was like, oh, this is going to be like 3 different sections of the same story, and we'll just get like a little different perspective each time. No, that's not how it works. The stories are completely different. But the funny thing is that depending on the way you play the game and how long you choose to play it, you might just not find out what the story's about. Because the path,
of course, that's
the path I took detailed nothing. I picked the Blue Lion storyline, and those motherfuckers are... like, they're the main characters of the story, but the entire story is happening outside their fucking kingdom. So, like, you don't see any of it. It was very funny to me to be like, No, I didn't find out what that character's deal is, or that one. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing. I don't know what that motherfucker's doing, but he showed up at the end of my story like he did a bunch of stuff, and I don't know what it was.
There's a Silent Hill game that came out a month or two ago, Silent Hill F.
Yes, I'm playing that with my sister.
Oh, excellent. Phalis did a video about it that Nicole and I watched, and he explained that, like, yeah, so your first time going through the game, you don't actually learn the plot. You have to play it through like 3 times in order to understand what actually happens in it.
I heard that, and I know for a fact my sister is never going to do another playthrough, so I'm like trying to figure out how to subtly find out that information so that I can explain it to my sister so she can get a good idea without like spoiling the whole game for myself. Like I'm trying to wait for the exact point where I'm like, okay, now I can learn what the story's about so I can tell her.
Yeah.
Without just ruining everything.
Video games. We gave him a plot, but you don't care about that, so
Yeah. That's why the only perfect game, Nick, is Balatro. There's no story. You just play cards forever.
I don't know if that's even true or not because I haven't played Balatro, and I know like I've seen like a couple different videos of people playing and stuff like that, but I remember like when like Cookie Clicker was a thing, and it's like there's no plot to this, and it's like yes there is. if you play it for long enough and are addicted enough to it, you do see that there are plots.
It depends. Is the grandma apocalypse considered a plot? Who knows? But it is very relevant, and I was playing Cookie Clicker into this year, actually. It's just, it was like a fun browser game to have off on the side when you're like, I've done enough homework, I'm going to click a thing for a little bit and get the dopamine hit.
I think that I said recently that I stopped playing a couple of mobile games, which even like literally as we were sitting down to record this, I was like thinking to myself, like it was around the time of day, I was like, oh, I should check on like, the refresh, and I was like, wait, I don't need to do that anymore.
I'm free.
I've had that revelation several times in the last few days where I'm just like, oh, thank God.
Is this, was a super card?
Yeah. They put too many fucking features that like you have to keep up with every single day. And eventually I was like, this is taking too much of my brain power and time to do. Because I can't, like I could theoretically limit myself to just doing it a little bit, but then I'll see like all the stuff and I'll be like, no, I got to do all that, so I have to just stop doing it. So it's such a burden laid off of me to not do it, because it's not like I'm doing a whole bunch of like important things all of a sudden, but literally all the little like hobbies I do to spend time instead, I can just stop doing them whenever I want and I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
So
that one of my greatest satisfactions was I used to play Honkai Star Rail, and I took a break because they stopped. They would have like half a year would be like new story content, and then the other half of the year would be like, hey, here's mindless bullshit for you to do until we get the next story content ready. And like during that break, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just not feeling like these, minor sub stories they're putting in. So I stopped. And then they must have lost some legal case. So they made you legally put in your birthday, and they put a timer on that. They're like, hey, if you don't put your birthday in by this date, we're deleting your account. And I said, that's my out. And I just waited.
That's your out.
I never put in my thing. My account's gone. There is no reason to go back into that game. All of my stuff's gone. I'm like, I'm never touching you again.
Yeah, that's a great way of handling it, because it doesn't even put the onus on you to like uninstall something or whatever. It's just like if I just literally like just don't do anything, then it'll take care of itself, and then it'll be on me to reinstall. That's a great approach.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, that's the way to do it. But in the meantime, we have a bunch of manga to talk about. Not as much as
that's right. There's no addiction to that makes us do this podcast. We just do it because we like doing it. So,
we should gamify the podcast though. Like, what if every time you listen to Weekly Manga Recap, you get
play an ad?
Yeah, I just start clicking the ad button over. I'm gamifying the podcast. We're
Quinn, why is our viewership down to 2?
Well, I'm watching the stream and you're watching the stream, so let's talk about Ichi the Witch, Nick.
Yes, Ichi the Witchy. 61st Hunt Vitals, featuring a very lovely color spread of the human-hating magics, all looking very chill and sexy. I don't know. Uh,
I guess if octopi men are your thing, then that's a pretty sexy image.
he looks the happiest by far, you
I,
know.
I agree, but just because he is the happiest does not make him the sexiest person on that panel. But you know what? I'm not going to judge if that's your thing. And I know
We'll
a lot
come
of
back
people
to
it
this
is.
when the anime adaptation comes out, and we'll see how many arts of him come out.
That is not fair. When this series gets animated, it is going to have a very horny section of fan artists that are just going to.
There's going to be a couple horny sections of fan artists for this series. Let's be real.
Oh, there's going to be levels. Who do you think is going to be if they will have one, the Gojo and Geto kind of level ship for this series?
Oh, it's going to be Ichi and Gokuraku.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I'm still waiting. I'm wondering if there might be someone else yet to come out. Or even if it might just be Ichi and Oro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those two, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, last time in Ichi the Witch, we got a very cool speech from Chrono, who basically told the other magics that they didn't understand that, humans have the power of love. And then he fast forwarded Hitsugi through time to completely disintegrate him. But Hitsugi is fine. Kizashi freaks out for a bit, wondering if he gathers up all the dust and dumps water on it, will it grow back? But instead, the dust gathers around a bunch of the corpses that he had summoned before and mashes them all together and composes a new body for himself.
He makes himself look sexier. That's the annoying thing. He gives himself this very sexy pirate coat, and I'm like, you're not allowed to get hotter when you die. That's not fair. You should have to come back at the exact same level of hotness.
That's going to be, man, someone's got to have made a game like that, where it's like every time you die, you come back and your avatar is more attractive. Like, there's got to be something like that. So yeah, they just recompose a body for themselves, and so Descarus knows that, like, they're trying to keep their true form hidden, which makes sense. It's very consistent with how, I think it was Galacula she tried to use in order to get him to tell his secret for his trial, and he cut it off. So Hitsugi gives Kizashi his staff and says, go find Chrono Weaver's mate and kill her and the baby that she's carrying. And he also says, yeah, and kill Ichi the Witch when you see him. If you do that, Uroro will probably be really grateful to you and he'll probably promise to be your friend. And Kizashi's like, wait a minute. If I kill the woman and the baby, and Ichi the Witch too, and he imagines himself dancing arm in arm with Uroro and Chrono with bunches of besties.
If he wasn't a sociopath, Kizashi would be so adorable. Like, I would want to be this man's best friend. But I know what he's like, so I definitely do not want to be this man's best friend.
I mean, presumably this arc is going to end with him being acquired by somebody. So I guess we should set the stage now for him to at least be amusing, if not likable. Kizashi flies off. Chrono tries to pause him in place and stop him, but the staff immediately breaks through the bubble that he forms around Kizashi and just shatters it and stops it. And Hitsugi says that this is the Lord World Hater's Shakujo staff, Sinosura, one of only a handful of weapons capable of warping magic and destroying magics. And so with that, they can destroy Chrono Weaver if need be. And Kizashi's like, I don't want to kill Chrono, though. He's my best friend. And Hitsugi points out, like, if you destroy him, that means that he was too weak, right? That means they're not fit to be your friend. Oh, yeah!
Gotta love an idiot villain who you can, like, easily convince by just throwing some kind of logic, like, well, if they died, then you wouldn't have wanted to be their friend. He's like, you know what? That's a good point.
So he flies off with Colonel Weaver pursuing. Deskris tries to go too, but Hitsuki cuts her off and introduces himself more formally and says that he is the Reverser Magic. He serves as one of the 7 stars as well and says, my trial is offer me 10,000 deaths. And just like gives her that information freely without having it be forced.
Yeah, well, specifically, she's like coming up with Gondare or whatever, the truth forcing magic. So he just picks it upon himself to be like, no, here's my trial. Here's everything you need to know about me. You don't no need to pull that out. I'll give you my info. Enjoy.
Also, here's a bunch of bodies so you can get started.
I'm so helpful. Yeah, a whole bunch of bodies falling off the ship. Lots of corpses. It's a real crazy time.
I guess they count.
Yeah. It's raining men. So wild natural phenomenon going on here too.
Mm-hmm. And he introduces this as, let's call this trial the death of 10,000 corpses, which is such an extra title. Gotta find a horror movie that's titled that. And yeah, he starts to mock her and says, we'll see how long you can stay sane. And immediately a huge blast of energy goes off and disintegrates almost every single body on the ship that he has summoned.
Okay, so there's no death of 1,000 corpses. There's House of 1,000 corpses.
Right.
So I guess you would have to combine that with maybe some kind of merged movie with the death of Stalin.
Death of 1,000 Stalins.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not historical enough to come up with a great bit to follow that up with, so instead I'll just remind us that Steve Buscemi is in that, and he's also in Spy Kids 2 with that super banger line about God.
So, Hitsuki is briefly in shock because Deskris has just immediately blasted a bunch of these bodies, and she says, look, I don't know what you're expecting, but the title of greatest isn't so flimsy that this will shake me. And she says, it's funny, much as you say you hate the word love, your trial hinges on the emotions that connect humans to each other. So is it just me, or are you actually more interested than anyone in human love and friendship? And then she sticks her tongue out at him and says, did you just turn into a spiteful creep because nobody would notice you? You're a lame, lonely old virgin.
I'm not going to have a 20-year-old woman call me that. I have no idea how old this girl is. You're not like a teenager, are you? Because that's going to hurt even more.
I need to know how much I should or should not enjoy killing you.
Yeah.
We are given in the narrative, however, a brief aside about the difficulty of a magic's trial, which is proportional to their disposition towards humans. So there are some magics that are actually fairly friendly, and so they have less difficult trials. Those that are human haters have trials so hideously unfair that the magics are basically actively trying not to be acquired. So human hater magics have not only incredibly difficult trials, they're the worst possible tragedy they can think of. And one of the bodies that has been brought back by Hitsuki starts to pulse in its neck and start saying, "Big sister."
Yeah,
Which,
has the little braid and the triangle, just like Deskris.
Yeah, her deceased little brother who was killed by the warp magic. We're getting the party split up into these different battles, and it looks like Deskris might have a little bit of trouble, and Kiyoshi is heading off towards Ichi's group with the staff that, in all those visions that Jiki Shirane had, was stabbed through the baby. So we'll see if something crazy happens in order to prevent that fate, or maybe there is I don't know, maybe there will be some sort of shenanigans so that the visual of it happens, but the actual woman does not get hurt, maybe.
Yeah. I apologize, my voice is a little rough today apparently. I'm really always very curious from a writing standpoint what you do with Deskris, because this is like sort of the Kakashi problem. Not problem necessarily, but like when you establish that there's like a young group of heroes, but with like a very strong mentor, how do you not make the mentor just solve all the problems? And I like that, this arc is about Kizashi. I am under no illusion that this guy, the reverser magic, may or may not, get dealt with here, but he could potentially come around. But Kizashi, I assume to be dealt with during this. So, we see what Kazashi's doing, but how does Descross not just solve it? This guy's here. Okay, fine. Well, he's like just some dude we just made up. How do we make that interesting? Oh, well, let's have him explain some of the human hater magic's philosophy, and also let's let him be the conduit through which we experience some more of Descross's backstory. I don't know if we're explicitly going to find out the backstory, but because her little brother, it seems like, is in this group, we're going to get, I guess, some little kind of zoom in on that relationship and what happened, and at least her feelings toward it. I would not be shocked if, like, next chapter she sees her brother and she just, like, fucking explodes him with a laser beam. Like,
it's an illusion.
Yeah, she might just be like, I know he ain't real or whatever. But it is, if nothing else, going to be something interesting for Descross to do while Ichi and his friends deal with the big problem, which is Kizashi.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We're going to move on then to Blue Box.
Chapter 221, I'll see you when you're done. Chinatsu is seeing Taiki off at the regional qualifiers, and she gives her, Ippon, her score, encouragement that they give to each other to him, and wishes him luck. We cut to the stands where Taiki's parents have shown up, and they have gifts for the badminton club for supporting their boy, and it's very cute. And then the Kasaharas show up, Kyo's family. And they greet the Inomata's, and there's talk about, of course, about Mrs. Inomata's recent stay in the hospital. And she says, yeah, I'm all better now and stuff. And then they're talking to each other about their kids, exchanging pleasantries and everything. Kyo, and Taiki are just kind of like casually but awkwardly also we're in the stands sitting next to each other. And they're like, wow, they sure are lively. Yeah. And they just kind of like start talking awkwardly. Kyo's like, did you eat breakfast? Yeah, my mom made me a big breakfast. Yeah.
It is, because what are you going to talk? You're like, we're playing each other in the first round. Like, how do we address this awkwardness? And I do love that they're like, so, did you have breakfast?
Did you eat food today?
Sure did. How about you? I as well also ate food.
Yep. Big day. Yeah, big day.
Big day.
Yeah. Ayame approaches them both, and she has little cookie packages for both of them. And she says that she worked her butt off, making them for everyone. She says, let the gratitude wash over you when you eat them later. And they're both breaking open the bags like, oh, thanks. I said later.
Didn't she just hear they only had a little bit of breakfast? They're starving.
Oh, my mom made such a small, paltry breakfast.
I really, crumbs is what I had for breakfast. I need a good meal like these cookies are going to give me.
We learned that they will be going up against each other if they make it that far in the 5th round of the tournament. So it's just going to be like, preliminary stuff before then. We see Iozaki, I think is his name, the badminton senpai who is Chinatsu's neighbor. He is visiting with his old school as well and has gotten them, some gifts and stuff. Wants to know where Yusa is, and also asks like, hey, so where's that guy that Yusa considers his rival? And they say, oh, that's Inomata. I think that he's over on this court and everything. So he goes over to check it out. Happens to, of course, see Chinatsu cheering on her man, who fucking smokes his opponent. 21-6 in one of the sets. Immediately, easily takes it. Even so, afterwards we see him and he's like, God damn it, I didn't do it good enough. But he seems to be much more in good spirits and back to regular form, even though he is being hard on himself. And he thinks like, the next time I'm going to do better. And he thinks like, after how much Chinatsu encouraged me, I need to pull myself together. Like, I got to do right by the encouragement that my girlfriend is giving me. Which,
really
so long
can't
as you
let her
don't go
know.
too hard on yourself, dude.
Yeah.
Kyo also is proceeding well through things. And as he, heads off the court, some of the other members of AMA's club say, "Hey, you did a good job. You did way more. You did way better than the last time you played these guys." And Kyo says, "When I think about how this is my last time, I can go all out on the attack." And they're like, "Oh yeah, I get that, but like, don't let your guard down, or you're gonna end up feeling the same way as always." And Kyo's got a nice smile on his face, and he's not clenching his fist like he wants to punch anything at all. He's not feeling stress at all. He's fine. He's
Cool
fine.
as a cucumber.
But when he sees some of them open up the cookie bags from Ayame, they're like, "Oh, they're little shuttlecock cookies. This is so great. Yeah, it's great." And then Kyo sits down and he opens up his package. He sees that there is a little note from her that says, "Good luck." And there's a little Kyoki in it.
Oh, wow. How long did you work on Kyoki?
I kind of immediately thought of it the first time I read the chapter.
Genius. This is why you do
Look,
a Manga podcast.
We didn't have any boo keys this year, so my tolerance for puns is a bit higher.
Fair.
And Kyo looks around for a second. It's like, did everyone else get personalized cookies? He kind of quickly concludes, "Oh no, I didn't," and he just does a little smile to himself. So he goes to Ayame and says, "It'd be a waste to eat this," and she says, "No, eat them. They're nutritious and delicious cookies. Fight with more power than usual because they're packed with all my supportive feelings."
Aww.
We get a little bit of the iShield 21 montage of people losing and thus not being able to play sports in high school anymore and feeling really bad about it. And Chinatsu is, she's watching from the sidelines and she's, having some flashbacks to all the emotions that, she had when she was playing in her last game. Taiki approaches her during a break between his matches, and it's just before seemingly his match against Kyo. So she says, when going up against a friend, you know them inside and out. You also know how they're feeling. So this is a regular match, but it also might be your last one. And I'm sure you're feeling a lot of things right now, but I know it'll be fun. I'll see you when you're done. And that's it. They head down to their court. And Taiki and Kyo, you got to have just the important conversations at this time. So of course they say, "What's up?" Okay. And that's it. Because this is how young men talk to each other. Ayame is trying to be a good manager. She's seeing to some of the other club members as well. And the Katsuhara siblings are like, "Yeah, we're gonna beat that guy, yeah." And Ayame's like, "Okay, well, we're gonna cheer for both of them to win, okay?" And then the littlest Katsuhara boy spots somebody, goes running off because Saki has shown up. I cannot begin to tell you, Quinn, I forgot Saki existed for a while because we have not seen her since Ayame last saw her, when she made a move on Kyo, and Ayame didn't get to see the full context of it. So, yeah.
It's an interesting stare. There is so much drama unfolding in this, high school 5th round preliminary fucking shuttlecock match. It's very amusing. It's like multiple dramas converging on the same match that before already had a built-in storyline. I think this is the most overbooked shuttlecock match out there. What's the name of this actual sport? Badminton. This is the most overbooked badminton match that we've seen in recent times. But it makes sense because this is the Russo Classic, so you got to get a couple of those in there. And the shocking thing is Ayame is actually going to win this whole tournament.
But then Saki! Yeah, looking forward to seeing the drama unfold. And I hope that we get some good emotional stuff out of the actual matches as well.
Yes. Chainsaw Man, Nick.
No, 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 no. All right, it is chapter 222, Denji Man. Yes, Yoru turned all the people of Oregon into a punch and punched Chainsaw Man so hard that her own body blew apart. According to the regeneration sequence we get here, where she just grows from a head into a fully clothed girl again.
I'm so grateful Fujimoto learned from his lesson with Reize, where he's like, okay, if she completely blows up, though, her clothes still have to come back. Otherwise, this gets super awkward.
And of course, she did not leave out the hat,
No.
the cape, I should say.
Yeah.
So then Yoru realizes as well that she blew up some of her demon allies and is like, oh, sorry.
Oh, my bad. Oops.
And then the one she talks to just goes, so she looks over at a whole bunch of, the bleeding, suffering people who are burned and suffering from radiation poisoning and got debris through their guts. And she is like, oh, wow, shit. And looks down at Chainsaw Man, who is basically just like a torso and head with spine dangling out of it. And so she starts to tear up and she goes, so many people are suffering because of my power, and they'll never be released from their pain. This world, it's a dream come true. This dramatic bitch.
She's even got like the finger in the mouth and like the slight look that I'm like, are you like super excited about this? Like,
yes,
you seem to be like,
there is no room for misinterpretation. Okay. This has got her going. Yes.
Yeah, I do like the lead, because there was a moment where she's like, oh, all these people, they'll never be released from pain. And I was like, is Yoru gonna have a change of heart in all of this? And I love we don't even have the moment to believe that. Like, it's not even like, oh, well, I'll turn the page and find out. She drops to her knees and then she's like, ooh, this rules so hard.
I don't know if we're meant to recognize the brain woman here who bleeds from her head wound into Chainsaw Man's mouth and then begs him to save them.
She's just the person from like 2 pages earlier he was saying Chainsaw Man.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, it's just somebody there who's saying Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, so she bleeds into Chainsaw Man's mouth. Yoru kicks her head off, but Yoru looks down on Chainsaw Man and says, you can't move anymore, can you? And that means I win. Thanks for creating such a wonderful world for me as your last hurrah, and once its people descend into hatred and warfare, it'll be perfect. The loser belongs to the winner. I'll take you to my world as a weapon. She holds out her palm towards him. I think I'll call you Ultra. And then she looks down, and Denji's hand, very specifically Denji's hand, is sticking up and holding out 2 fingers. And he says, Yoru, baby, I win.
He says baby so many times in this chapter. I'm like, where did he get this energy from? He's like, hey there, Yoru, baby. I'm doing great over here. Hey, Chainsaw Man, I got a little blood back in me. I'm doing great now.
And Yoru asks, what the hell are you talking about? And then she says, well, you played paper, I played scissors, so you lose, which means that I still belong to me. And Yoru tries to declare Ultra Chainsaw Man machine gun. And then she says, nope. See, because in your mind, you just perceived that you lost to me, so you can't turn me into a weapon. Oh, Denji's so smart.
I like that this is like a level of Denji being smart, and you're just being a like fucking child, like just a complete idiot. That she's like, the small part of her was like, fuck, you beat me in rock, paper, scissors. God damn it.
And like any true child, she responds to having lost the game of rock, paper, scissors by choosing gun with her next go. She tries to shoot Denji at point blank range, but he pulls on his ripcord, and there's a huge burst of energy, And before the smoke clears, he says, "It looks like Pachita's strongest devil powers and my high school educated genius brain have combined."
I love Denji so much. He really thinks that is like the highest level of education you can get, which, hey, the Chainsaw Man world is so awful. Maybe there are people who are just like, I'm not pursuing secondary education. Like, then fuck that noise.
So, Denji Man, as we've been told is the proper name for this form from the title, emerges. A slightly different physical form of Chainsaw Man, has like armor on the torso and arms, but can talk with what seems to be like a demonic version of Denji's voice, as he says, "I'll spell it out for you. You lose, baby."
Hey! Yeah, fun chapter. I actually like this as like a little twist, hey, Denji Man, it's, the power of Pochita with the intelligence.
The brain power of Denji.
I'm not even sure if this is
Pochita has always had the winning plans, the wisdom to get Denji out of situations, so maybe this isn't a good idea.
I was like, there's a moment where I'm like, I don't know if this is actually a power up. Like, I don't know if having Denji's intelligence improves the Chainsaw Man in any way, but it will be nice that it can speak. So there is that.
Yeah, it seems as though we are proceeding towards. It actually reminds me a lot of like the Eternity Devil, how Denji won that battle by being in an unwinnable situation, but being too insane to lose. And just eventually he's probably going to be too stubborn and Yoru's going to like give up hope that she can actually beat him. That seems to be the approach going on here, because she can't kill him. And as long as he's Denji, doesn't seem like she's going to actually believe that he belongs to her because he's too Denji.
Yeah.
All
right, Nick, we have some Dandadan to talk about. This is Dandadan chapter 219, The Mummy's Weakness. So last chapter, they pulled the bandages off their Mr. Drist, and all of his body starts evaporating in the air, basically. He's falling apart. And then we turn a page. And an enormous whale-like individual, whale-like creature of some kind is coming out of the body of Mr. Driss. And Okaru is recalling that there's a theory that aliens cannot survive on Earth without wearing a human body. So when they return to space, they preserve those bodies so they can be used again, a.k.a. that is where mummies can come from. So this is Okaru saying, wait, that's the space alien's true form. But they are back now on solid ground. The road is back at this point as just a giant space whale is flying above the city.
Space whale!
They note how terrifying this is, and also Okurun and Momo are still kind of wrapped up in the mummy bandages at this point.
It's a great reaction image of them just like, because they're tangled together with all the bandages, so they're kind of forced to like hug each other, and it looks like they're just like Scooby-Doo screaming.
Yeah. Okarun's like, okay, I'm holding on to the club. You need to visualize your energy. She does it. Boom, creates his sword, swings upward, and it's kind of unclear what actually happens. The whale falls and like crushes the city. I don't know if Okarun's attack hit it. There's nothing to show that it did, and the next panel is the Serponians just being like, what a big dumb idiot. This stupid fool.
We told him not to.
He left his human body and then got crushed by Earth's gravity.
I don't know, guys. He kind of seems like he's lying there. He seems fine. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
It's fine.
So the Serponians, they're like, all right, let's get out of here. We lost this fight. And the whale just explodes. Its internal timer went off and it just explodes. Literally, like, guts and eyeballs are shooting everywhere. And it seems really bad. But Okarun and Momo are fine because they protect themselves with a little bubble. And then suddenly, they're out of the empty space, or dark space. I forget what it's called. And they're back on the road. And they're like, okay, cool. We did it. We're alive. And Momo was like, oh, wow, great job, Okarun. You really did something incredible. And he's like, no, it's thanks to you. Like, you're the one who's amazing. Like, even without your memory, your quick thinking and your bravery, they're still the same. You are still the Miss ISA that I remember, and it makes me incredibly happy. And it's a relief that you're safe and sound. Very, very sweet moment between them. Momo is like, oh, well, I'll get up off of you because I'm probably heavy. But then notice like, oh, I'm shaking like crazy. I can't stand up. So Karun goes up and motions for her to give you a piggyback ride. He's like, I do this all the time. It's all good. And, Momo even has like a moment being like, I'm not too heavy, am I? He's like, nope, not at all. You're late. As they head off, Momo just says, hey, Okarun, I believe in space aliens now. Which makes sense. Cut over to the hospital.
I like that as like, without saying it, there is a very clear, like, a big part of the barrier that went up between them with her memory reset has come down again.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously they're not back to where they were, but there is a very strong level of trust between them again.
Yes.
Sweet.
Very much so. Cut over to the hospital. Seiko is in there. Eyes closed. Her eyes start opening up. She puts on her glasses. And laying at the foot of her bed is Turbo Granny inside of the Good Luck Cat form. And Seiko just says, so have you been eating? And she says,
not even a hi.
Nah, these girls don't do hi. They just go right into the topics. Turbo Granny says, more or less, the world is full of delicious food. And Seiko's like, oh, that's good to hear. But the chapter ends with Turbo Granny saying, but all the shitheads aren't really to my taste. So, hey, it looks like she wants to hang out around her family again.
These are the only cool people in the world.
Yeah, I don't like anybody else.
Meh. What a cat thing to do. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. All you guys suck.
You'll never see me again.
I found a lot of good food, but everyone sucked in the world too.
So I'm back and relaxing on your bed.
Back here. Feed me.
Good stuff. I enjoyed the chapter.
Yeah. I literally every time that I have opened this chapter, I have gone, because this is like my third or fourth time through it. Every time that I get to the end of it, I'm like, all right, Turbo Granny came back. Like, it's just so surprising because it just comes completely out of nowhere. It's like, oh, she's back. And we'll see if that plays into, like, maybe like getting Momo her memories back because of, how she's been involved with, like, getting our main characters back stuff that they've lost in the past. Or if it's going to be connected to just like the wider conspiracy plot that's going on right now.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what they're going to do. I think there's a lot of potential places they can go with everything, but yeah, I'm super excited to see where they take this going forward. And I'm glad we didn't spend too long in that mummy fight either.
Yeah, it was like just this full month basically that we had, so it was a good length for it.
Pretty good.
World Trigger. Chapter 259, The Away Mission Test, Phase 2, Part 2, featuring a very red 2-page color spread at the beginning.
Very red?
Yeah, so, well, there's like a red thing in the background, and then the logo is red, and then, so, yeah,
okay.
there's a bunch of red outlines on people, so, yeah.
That's fair.
The B squads, or the rank B squads, are all uniting up. They're converging with each other as they're getting ready for the long-term battle. Kadera says, hey, can I get, like, all the operators to, like, send me, like, their list of soldiers and everything? They're just trying to coordinate information as well. And he also brings up the point of, hey, this looks like one of the A-rank agents' maps. So anyone who's got A-rank experience, can you confirm that for me? And a few different people chip in and comment, and eventually Hiyami is the one who gets the whole big laydown. It's like, yeah, I see the landscape and I recognize this, this, and this. So Kadera makes the call like, hey, anyone who's got A-rank experience, share your knowledge with people in your squad who doesn't have it, and I'll provide some support for squads who literally don't have any former A-rank agents with them, which includes Sua Squad. So the teams start to gradually rendezvous, like Squad 1 with Squad 2, Squad 9 with this squad and that squad. People are uniting up. So Sua Squad 7 starts to unite, get together with Squad 3. And so they're like, "Oh, okay, how's things going?" They get a little bit get a little bit caught up. They also bring up the issue of timing, which is like it took us about 2 minutes to get from our point to this terminal. So they think like, okay, so even with the timing that we know about that, it took like one person 3 minutes to bring down one of the terminals. So that means maybe we will be able to actually cover that. And Katori brings to the point of 3 minutes is for one single attacker. If with more people, they'll be able to bring it down faster. So we probably wouldn't be able to actually make that coverage. The next 8 pages are people saying what a great and helpful person Taichi is. And so it is absolute agony for me.
Everyone's like, wow, Taichi, you're so much more
He's
clever
so
and considerate.
thoughtful and smart and what a great utility, and he's so nice and he's cool.
We've never commented about what like a powerful but gentle sexual energy you have. Like it's very welcome at all times. Your hat really, like, we don't comment on enough, but like I'm jealous of it.
It gets the people going though. Everyone's just like, oh.
I want to get a hat. Like I go online and I'm like, buy Taichi hat.
He shows off his mount dog thing neighbor from before, and he like we get introduced as well to the way that the neighbors actually work, which is essentially that there's like capsules from Dragon Ball that they use in this. Yeah. There is a tag that they can break open in order to summon the neighbor, and the first person who summons it gets to order it around, but the operator can change ownership of it between people on their squad. That's the short version. So everyone says what a smart boy Taichi is. Meanwhile, while this explanation has been going on, Ikoma has just quietly shown up. And they're like, "What are you doing here?" And he says, "I'm here for the food hand." Yeah. They think that like, oh, if like we're actually, because Taichi actually does offer Suicide Squad like, here, I'll give you guys one that you can use between you as well, and they think like we should give you like something in exchange in order to kind of pay you back for this. A little bit of information comes in with movement amongst the A rankers as Arafune is spying on people with his sniper rifle. And he says, like, there's a lot of people that aren't moving from their terminals. There are some people that are moving this way. And Kodera thinks, like, so nobody from but one squad, basically, is moving at this time. That's unsettling. What's going on? But then they see movement on the map that shows basically one of the agents just instantly warps from one terminal to another. And they're like, holy shit, what the hell happened with there? And they're even thinking, like, did Fuyushima use their warping ability here? And Kitora says, no. They can't cover that kind of distance. And then Tamakoma moves. And we get to see how they are, quote-unquote, traveling this way. As Mai is picked up by a neighbor that they've built and is just hucked through the air, and we see her cheeks flapping as she flies through the air and crashes on a wall and hits a wall. And afterwards, the rest of her squad gets thrown, and they're like, oh, this is a great travel method. And they're like, yeah, but this only works because we've got Tryon bodies. So I guess we have gotten confirmation, like, yeah, you don't take fucking damage if you're in a Tryon body unless you get shot, basically.
Well, it's great because they ask Mai when she lands, like, are you good? She says, emotionally. And she's like, good enough. Like, if your leg's broken, walk it off.
So we do establish that their operator does not get thrown because they have to actually still command the neighbor. But so she's like, I'm going to get to you guys without leaving the ground. So, but even so, this means that they can kind of freely, like, just do a one-time, almost instant traversal for 3/4 of their units with this means of doing so. And so everyone on the B rank side is reacting to all this information. And Kodera wonders to himself, like, I wonder who's even actually, like, taking command over there. And it seems to be, and it is Arashiyama.
Yeah.
Like we got confirmation of that immediately afterwards as he's like issuing orders to Tachikawa, who refers to him as Lord Commander, which I wonder who decided to use that, and I kind of wanted to be Urashiyama. I was like, you will call me Lord Commander.
I feel like it's Tachikawa being a dick, but it would be funny
Right.
if Urashiyama was like, all right, guys, so I'm going to be taking over as leader, which means, of course, you're all going to call me Lord Commander,
Right.
as is proper in our military format.
Squad 5 is, going over things and they're like, all right, we're gonna plan to meet up with everybody. And Ikoma says like, yeah, Squad 6 and 10 could also join in here. He's like, yeah, that's right. Ikoma, what are you doing here? And he's like, and Katori is also there because they have taken Taichi's neighbor bike thing in order to fast travel over there. And Ikoma says, why? Ain't it obvious? Food handouts. Katori's like, that's not why I'm here.
It's interesting because they're both in one of the terminals that's going to see action the soonest because it looks like the
Yeah.
A team is headed over in that area. Yeah, we're just see how this gonna goes. This is all basically set up and stuff, in the same way we had to learn how Hound works. So the moment that Osamu manipulated the rules of Hound, it was a profoundly cool moment. That is what this is here to do. I feel like to establish how these tags that create the replicas are going to work, and just give some more context to the rules. I do like that they're using the various different creations they have as transportation methods. One in a normal way of like, hey, what if I rode on my dog and used it to fast travel? And then the much less normal way of like, what if we just had it heave us across the map as hard as it could? Like, okay, fair enough.
The thing is that we have this very long explanation from Taichi, and it's like, yeah, we did get this information before, but I don't know. Maybe there was a thought of like, I should go over this again in case anyone tuned out any of the information that was given over the course of the dozens of chapters of the first part of the test.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, okay. We have Hima-Ten, Nick.
Yes, Hima 69, which is titled Kanten because it's Kana and Tenichi in this chapter. Iomori makes a very pretty dish, flour hot pot, and it's
Fuck
just more
you.
festive because it's Christmas
Fuck
time.
you, asshole. Stop making food that looks like this and make it look effortless. Eat shit. Like, if I built that, I'd be bragging about it for, like, months. I'd be like, hey, guys, you see my hot flour hot pot I made? It's incredible, and I'm incredible. Please praise me. This guy's just like, I made hot pot, and I made it absolutely gorgeous for you.
As they are waiting for the hot pot to stew, they're like, all right, let's wait around for a bit. And Kana's like, well, we got some time, so want to look at my magazine now? And so she's like, yep. She says that she's actually kind of nervous because, he's going to be looking at her pictures in her apartment. And it's like, yeah, that seems like a fair reason to be a bit nervous about the guy you like. Definitely. I will say, however, every other picture that was taken of her, except for beyond the cover photo, is way better than the cover photo in terms. Like, there are like elements of them that are like, oh, that's a fun expression that she is making and stuff, as opposed to just the first one was just boobs, and that was literally the only comment you could make about it.
I don't know much about the way magazines advertise themselves, but yeah, the idea that like you would put the most boring image on the cover and then all the fun ones inside, I guess, is a strategy.
Yeah, this is the worst one, guys, so come on.
Just imagine how much better it'll get from here.
Iomori gets through all of them, clearly is a little bit flustered by the end, but he says, well, these all turned out really good. And Kana says, they're all me. There's the same girl right in front of you that you went out on a date with today. And Iomori's like, yeah, this is like crazy, which, it's understandable. They're having a little bit of like, kind of celebrity, mind, like people are going to like be able to buy this. Like it's a thing that you worked on and people are going to see it and buy it and stuff. She says that they even actually like, shot some of them abroad. So she's, yeah, I understand why she may have had some struggles in school if she was literally like traveling to places in order
Yeah.
to take some of these. And Iamori thinks to
Wait, you
himself,
understand, Nick? It was essential that she was in Norway for that one photo where she's sitting on a bench in a bikini. Like, it wouldn't have made sense in Japan. They don't have
they
benches.
just like we just did it for only like the indoor shots. They just went to some other.
She's like, do you see me posing on this beach? Yeah, well, we actually traveled to Hawaii for that one. Like, really? Because there's so many beaches in Japan. It's mostly beach, actually.
Actually, Hawaii, out of all the places you could go to, would have beaches probably like very similar to those in Japan because they're both dark.
She's like, well, that's why we went to Antarctica for this one where I'm in a bikini.
And that's why I have this artificial foot because I got frostbite. Iamori thinks to himself like, I can't believe that like someone like me gets to spend time with her in this way, and it's kind of like she's like really cute. She's like out of my league cute. The hot pot starts to boil over, so they attend to it, go and get food. Kana loves the food, and she says, I can tell you put a lot of love into it. And Iamori, who, you know, has just spent the last 20 minutes thinking about how cute this girl he's with is, gets a, you know, flustered reaction to her saying love. And Kana's like, well, don't tell me there's no love in this meal. I thought we were celebrating, which I do like that bit. And she says that, you know, it's been a long time since she's had a home-cooked meal. And Iamori is like, you know, you said you were eating properly, but it didn't look like that based on what was in your fridge. So he's being a little bit of a dad now instead. Yep. So I'm trying to get to the actual like there's some nice things here and there, but it's like I'm trying to get to anything that's actually like relevant. So Iamori finally says, you know, I'm grateful that because you said you wanted to celebrate with me after you accomplished something, you know, that's this big and important. And I can't believe that I'm getting to like, you know, have this celebration with someone who's as amazing as you. And so, yeah, I'm really happy that I get to do that. That's also why I'm kind of worried about you, because, you know, your career is on the verge of taking off and you just like openly announced while we are on the train that we were going on a date. And, he just feels like this level of like guilt over how that could affect her career. And then he brings up, you know, you also like stripped down to your bathing suit in my room and like you're also inviting me into your home like this and you're like kind of defenseless right now. And Kana says, I only do stuff like that with you. And Emor's still like, yeah, but why just what? And it's not it's the boy's dumb. The boy's dumb.
Gosh, yeah,
the boy's dumb.
It's very funny because like earlier she's like, you wouldn't like, you can't tell me there's no love, and I'm like, yeah, you wouldn't, you know, just for anybody wrap up all of your meats in your hot pot like they're little beautiful flowers. And I'm like, no, Iamori would.
Yes,
He's
yeah,
like, yeah, he would absolutely do that.
Dedicated.
He would do it for his dog if he thought his dog would appreciate it.
And so as Iamori looks at Kane, he thinks, why does she treat me like I'm so special? And he thinks about a remark that his little sister made, which was, she's so pretty, she tries so hard, and I feel bad for her that you haven't realized it yet. And as he is looking at her, and just as you think that he might finally figure it out, Kana just like, all right, enough of this. And she thumbs her little choker necklace that is a fucking heart. And she says, have you finally figured out that I like you? In a full 2-page spread while she's blushing. And she says, you don't need to worry about me. I'd only ever do that stuff for the guy I like. And Iamori, you dumb bastard. He says, are you like practicing lines like when we were at the theme park? And Kana says, no. She says, I decided I couldn't just like make up an excuse to smooth things over like the last time. In other countries, this just counts as a normal greeting, so I think it'll work as my gift back to you. And she steps around the table and she kisses him on the cheek. And Iamori reacts in honestly a very normal way. Honestly, like
yeah, he's flabbergasted and mentally he's like, dang, I was really hoping she would buy me Mario Kart. Like I I kept dropping hints. I'd be like, it'd be really fun to go with this hot pot is if we had some Mario Kart to play afterwards.
Oh man. Do you understand that there's like 100 characters in the new one? Like, it's so crazy.
I can play all of Bowser's children, I presume.
Some of these baby characters haven't been in any games other than Mario Kart. It's amazing.
Finally, I can be baby Waluigi.
Ah!
It sounds exactly like regular Waluigi. That's what's special about him. He's an old man even when he's a baby.
That sounds actually fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, one of the girls finally fucking confessed to Iimori. Isn't that nice? Too bad it's Kana and she's gonna get her heart broken. But
I was gonna say, I do feel like this chapter really finally confirmed the third place, this the bronze level of Kana's relationship with Iimori. Not because it's oh, she's the first to confess or anything like that. Just the spark isn't quite there the same way it is when he interacts with Honoka or when he interacts with Himari. This just was kind of fine. And, I want the best for her, but yeah, I didn't really feel like there was a ton of chemistry in this chapter between the two of them.
Yeah. And I think that from that point of view, this development and this action as well, this choice specifically on the character's part for Kana was necessary if you're going to even really consider her within the dramatic tension of oh, well, which girl is going to end up with Iimori? Because we have seen that there is that tension that exists between he and Himari, and of course his feelings for Honoka are already confirmed. The dynamic between he and Kana was to the extent that when she had, as established in this chapter, stripped down to her swimsuit in his bedroom, he still could not compute that this girl was into him. That was how little of a romantic option he saw in her until this.
I don't know if there are any young kids listening, but just for anybody, if you need this advice, if a member of the opposite sex or the same sex, I guess,
same sex,
if anyone comes by and they're like, "Hey, do you want to look through my lewd photos of myself together?" They like you. They're you don't usually do that for somebody you're casual with.
Well, I can think of some, but I can think of either that or there are very specific level of comfort and that has not been established. Any of these girls are. So.
Or she's hustling, and at the end of this, she's like, "Iimori, wouldn't you love to see more of this if you just subscribe to my OnlyFans?"
Aren't you 15?
Shh, not on the website. I'm not
God.
The website, I'm 74. Why did you pick so old?
You should at least make it believable.
I was like, no one's gonna buy that. 50, I can see, but.
So, in terms of okay, something happened here. At least I am happy in that regard. And there are some little moments that I actually kind of do find myself saying in this chapter. It's oh, it's nice to see kind of have a character in this, even with the caveat of man, a whole lot of kind of being in the series is just to show her off in a swimsuit. Yes, but there was a character in this chapter that made things a lot better.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Otter of the Flame, Chapter 29, Warrior of Wind! That's right, because Kutain, who has the wind spirit and the bow and the arrow and stuff like that, he is still fighting against the spirit horn and is trying to fight it. And the dead are getting brought back and all that stuff. Some of them explode as well. Kutain makes the comment, "My arrows are wind itself, so I'll never run out." And Oldie says, "They're not infinite." Oh.
You actually do have a very limited inventory of weapons, despite the fact that your arrows are mostly just made up of air.
Yep. More fighting, more zombies coming out and stuff. Kutain starts to falter because he has expended so much energy from the arrows, and the spirit horn starts to mock him. is like, yeah, you're the warrior of wind, but you're not an experienced fighter. You're an amateur. You're not using your power effectively. And also, he insults Kutain, saying, like, look, Doa Doa wanted that power so badly that he died for it, so you had better make full use of it. But Ulti points out to Kutain, like, hey, a bow is not your weapon. You're a sailor, and you haven't changed from when you were a sailor. What is your real weapon? The wind is always on your side. And so Kutain regains his composure, uh, pulls back the bow one more time to fire an arrow. This time, like the arrow is not looking very steady. It almost looks like it's going to give way under him pulling the bowstring back. But he thinks to himself, "It's true the Doa Doa used this before, but this time all on my own. No, Scotty and I, that's her name, are going to do this together. Yeah, boom!" And the thing blows up, and the spirit horn is like, where did he aim? And Kutain says, I'm sorry for breaking that branch without permission, big sister Erder. And then a whole bunch of stuff flows around him into a huge ass arrow. And he says, I can see the course ahead now. And it goes, pshaw! Swirling energy and stuff like that. As all the wind currents together merge into a huge big arrow. Yes. And then Kutain collapses because he's out of stamina. And Scotty catches him and says, well done. You don't have like all the great archery skills of your ancestors, but you definitely inherited their guts. So yeah, that hurt. The spirit horn got blown to a skeleton on one side of his body, but he's regenerating from that. And he's like, gonna steal your spirit power. Fuck you. Then Erder senses something. And she warns them to stay back and says the grafting branch has burned up and streaking in like a comet. Oh, it's Otter in his new form.
Yep.
Yes.
I do appreciate, so I didn't get a chance to read these chapters before recording it, or something I just didn't get around to. This is one of them. So I am glad that this chapter was about Kutain, that this was something to just focus on him, because regardless of whether or not this series is going to continue on and Jump, it's 30 chapters long. It needs to establish a second character besides Otter. And if it's going to be Kutain, then do it. Then actually give him something. And this is a chapter that gives him something. It doesn't solve the problem. It'd be nice if there had been some secondary antagonist that he could have dealt with here. But even if his job,
some sort of accomplishment.
Yeah. Even if it's just hey, he held off on stop the bad guy until Otter could come around, it is at least something. So I will appreciate that.
Somewhere out there right now, Quinn, someone hurts.
Someone hurts.
That's okay. We're going to lay down some smooth one-liner jokes. Chapter number 12, Sense of Connection. With a cute color page of Mizuo putting a postcard with a joke submission into a postbox. And looking very excited while she does it.
She's thrilled. The funny thing is that we can tell that she actually is probably very excited. But yeah, her face does not betray much emotion.
We begin this chapter with Mime, who is on his phone and thinking to himself, all right, gotta work hard. I gotta get in some joke submissions. Goes to tap his email to start writing one, and his phone goes out. And won't turn back on. The screen will not turn on. And he reports at school the next day that his phone's battery is not working. And in fact, if you actually look at the phone on the screen in the panel right before it turns off, you can see that the battery bar is actually empty. So nice little paying attention to detail there. And he says that, so it's not charging. They said it'll take a week to repair it. And we don't have a computer at home, which is wild to me because my dad is a computer programmer for a living. I grew up in a house that always had multiple computers in it. So when I learned that there were anyone who didn't have a computer, I was like, that's kind of weird. And nowadays, it makes sense you don't have a computer because everyone just uses their fucking phone for everything now.
I was going to say, if I didn't need to do this podcast, this computer that I'm using right now would be relatively superfluous. I have a laptop. Yeah. I can move around when I do that. Yeah.
So, Mime is upset because like I can't email in joke submissions, and of course he is rushing to try to qualify for the listener quotient at this point. So yeah, Mizu was like, "Yep, well, it is that time. They're all traveling the Kuroshiki Current," and he's like, "I'm not talking about fishing." It's another Japanese culture reference. Yeah. So there is a nice note that one of his classmates is like, I told everyone in the line chat that you're not going to be able to participate in it. And that's nice. Mizuho says to Mimei, I'll give you a smile, so cheer up. And he's surprised by this, and then she just stares at him without smiling. What a weird girl. But she points out to Mimei that they do actually accept postcards for the joke submissions. And she says, look, I've never submitted entries this way. I've never heard of anyone even doing it, but they do accept postcards if you want to. Mimei's like, wow, that's great. Awesome. And Mizu says, if you want to thank me, I'll take 12 dozen meat buns. It's so many.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
And Mimei's like, I don't know if I've ever actually bought a postcard before. Do you like go to the post office? Like, yeah, it makes sense that someone their age would ask this. Like, I would have asked this when I was their age too. Like, where do you get a postcard?
What the fuck is a stamp? What a stamp? Yeah. Postage?
So he heads to the store and he's like, all right, I'll submit like, 30 entries that way and stuff. I don't want to fall behind. But then he learns that they're like 85 yen a card, which is about like 50 cents per card. And he's like, that's like, if I send 30 cards, that'd be, like $15 basically. And essentially that would take up like almost half his monthly allowance. So it's like, look, it's a lot of spending money going down the drain if he does this. Mizuho happens to show up at that time because these two are inseparable. And she even says, you and I are two people in one, like the Puppet Muppet Comedy Act, which is a really strange reference to make. And Mimei points out it's even weirder because like that means that there's a third person because there's a puppeteer and there's two puppets on one in either hand. It's very weird.
Shut up, nerd. No one cares. Oh wait, no, it's a it's a Muppet scenario. Actually, I do care. He's very correct on this.
Mimei orders only 10 postcards. Mizuho gets the same amount, and also she wants a fried chicken stick because,
of course, she
wants one. So Mimei's like, "Why'd you also buy them?" And Mizuho's like, "Oh, I figured I'd try doing it too." It's like because you guys like each other and she likes doing stuff with you. Come on, dude. So, she points out that they should send them in fast because, it takes time for postcards to actually physically be delivered. They can't just wait until the last minute to email their submissions in. So they go out to a park bench, and Mimei realizes that Mizuho pulls out the pen that he swapped with her. So he takes out the pen that she gave him, and she takes a little bit of satisfaction in that, and that's cute. They think about what they're going to write. Mizuho kind of like is trying to rush Mimei into it. And he's like, I've got limited cards. I'm trying to take my time and make sure of this and stuff. And they think about how like if they actually get the cards, and maybe that means that they kind of like get more of a sense of connection from it than if it's just an email, which does make sense. Like if you are used to getting hundreds and hundreds of emails, but only a few dozen postcards at most, then they feel more special.
Yeah.
Mizuho thinks to herself when it's like pondering jokes and stuff, and Mei clearly is like distracted, like looking at each other for a bit. And then Mizuho says like, yeah, I'm just curious if like you wrote anything. And Mizuho says, I might be done by 2034. Same. So they start writing out jokes. Mimei gets nervous because he's like, should I write Dear Monday Midnight Talking here? Is that appropriate? It's just like there's just that awkwardness of like everything that he does. They go to the mailbox. Mimei loses grip on one of his submissions as the breeze takes it. He rushes off to get it, and he immediately slips on the curb and falls in a puddle. But he protected the postcard, so that's important to him. And he gets really embarrassed by this. Mizuho offers him a hand up, and she gives him a big smile and laughs at him. I was like, "What are you doing?" It's very
Oh,
sweet.
yeah.
She gives him a hand up. Then he gets kind of he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got like your hand, muddy and stuff like that." He pulls out like a set of wet wipes and everything, and then says, "Can you like pretend you never saw that because I'm like the student council president and stuff, and that's very bad for me." And then we cut away as later on we see that Monmid gets the postcards from their two young listeners, and they're like, I don't know why these guys like wrote in postcards. I don't know, maybe they like want to change the pace. And I swear these guys are gonna like be shipping these two by the end of this because they're like, their addresses are next to each other. I wonder if they know each other.
100% they're gonna eventually figure this out, right? Like, they already
That's
saw them running and assumed they were a couple. Like, once they piece together that those two are who they are, they're gonna be like, oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
So they're looking through them, and they're kind of like, I don't know about some of these because they even in particular say like, Mime's entries like tend to actually be funnier when they get read off, which I think kind of makes sense because like we didn't have a lot of time to actually come up with some good ones. But there was one postcard that one of the hosts makes note of, which just says, I have fun listening every week. Thank you for always entertaining me. And it's just kind of like, oh, it gets them a nice sentiment there. I feel like if I got any kind of thing that said that on a fucking postcard, I'd be like, I am going to frame this. Like, we get some of the joke submissions, and then Mime is left like, oh, they didn't read any of mine. And he starts to be like, it had to be because it was on a postcard. And Mizuo very helpfully says, they read mine, though. What a great friend.
All right.
Another cute chapter. Quinn, we do have a prompt
We do have a
right at
prompt.
the end of this, which is, what would a judge in way too good of a mood be like?
Now I'm going to preface this by saying that I didn't get a chance to read this chapter ahead of time, so I read this and I was like, well, I'm just going to come up with the joke in between
Okay.
that. So this may not be my best joke, but what would a judge in too good of a mood be like? All right, now, Mr. Trump, you get out of here, you scamp, and don't try to take over the country again, okay?
You scam.
I would say they ruffle the hair, but the hair is already kind of a mess. So.
What would a judge in way too good of a mood be like? I activate my Deckmaster ability, clear the courtroom. I'm giving up 1,000 life points to activate my special power. Now you must clear the field of all your monsters so you're back where you started.
I like that you did the 4Kids dub voice for Judge Man as well. That's the truly fantastic part. Also, fantastic nerd points for taking this immediately into Judge Man.
I could not think of any actual judge jokes that I could do, so I was like, is there a character? Judge Man from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Nick, come on. You need to be able to think of one fictional judge. Yu-Gi-Oh!
I've never watched Judge Dredd. I couldn't think of anything for that. So.
I think there's got to be a judge and other things. The judge from Phoenix Wright.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he's also in too good of a mood. He's already the answer to this joke where it's like, I don't know, the dude in Phoenix Wright lets people get away with a lot.
That's true.
He allowed you to cross-examine a parent at one point. All right, Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, Nick.
That is right. It is chapter 71. One Kiyoshi against 1,000. Gaga has shown up with an army, including a very cool looking mount of some kind, and says, they're like, all right, come out here, Shishido. And instead, he gets blasted nearly. I think he blocks it. Maybe he doesn't. No, it draws blood. He gets hit by a water blast from Sosuke, as Sosuke and Shuten have arrived in order to stop him. And so instead, Gaga's like, all right, fine, I'll start with you first. Not bad. And starts rushing in. But before that they can engage, the huge blast of energy that Kiyoshi let off as a signal to all the surrounding demons in the last chapter. They see it in the distance. And Sosuke, of course, gets worried because he knows that Kiyoshi can only go all out for 3 minutes. Okay.
Just 3 minutes, Nick.
Wait a minute!
A 3-minute warning, you might even say.
Kiyoshi has just vowed he's going to exercise all of the demons around him. So as a whole bunch converge, he unleashes a big tempest attack to get a whole bunch of them. More come in. He summons like cubes of energy around some of them. And then he it's such a Mario-ass power. He puts them in cubes and then jumps on the cubes to warp them away.
He does defeat them like a Mario character.
Rushes into a back alley after that, and then, of course, gets everyone into a bottle choke as a bunch of them say, "You're all out of places to run," and he says, "No, you are," and hits a whole bunch of them with a big blast of energy. And Tosuka has observed all this, and he's like, "Man, he seriously wiped out the whole army all by himself." And Kiyoshi looks down at himself. He is, however, tired from all that, and he thinks, "I managed to just keep it under 3 minutes." But then there is noise as a whole bunch of people come out of portals all around him. And round 2. And so Kiyoshi tries to tap into the last reserves of his energy, but he can't. He's got nothing left. He can't channel his precept power. And so he starts taking some hits after that. One of them blasts him at point blank range. A really big guy punches him with a fist that is the size of Kiyoshi's torso. And so he's not doing so good because he literally just has no power to defend himself. So one of the demons who has a very warm-looking jacket steps forward and is like, "All right, you got nothing left. You're no big deal. I'm impressed you still managed to exercise Ross like that." He goes to finish him off. And then mother smack! As a huge blast knocks the demons into the ground. And a voice says, "You're Kiyoshi, huh? You took care of my husband when he went to the surface, and I'm here to help." And it's Mr. Yamada's wife.
Good for her.
And she says that seeing her husband's heroic stance and fighting spirit awakened her old power. Awesome. And then Kiyoshi's like, "Wait, who are you?" And she's like, "I'll tell you later." Picks him up, runs away. Immediately love her as the demons start to chase after her, and she says, "I'm not going to let you die."
Good for her.
But fortunately, Sosuke has come back to this pair to help out. Tosuka is there as well. The two of them start to fight the demons while Ms. Yamada keeps on carrying Kiyoshi to safety. And Tosuka says, "Hey, take care of Kiyoshi for us." And Sosuke says, "Man, he pushed himself too far. I can't believe that. Right now, he can only use his crest exorcisms for 3 minutes, so now Tosaka has the information." And so they're like, "We'll take care of these guys." Kiyoshi is carried off to safety, and he clearly is a bit groggy as he, is draped over Mr. Yamada's back, and starts getting carried to safety along with his son is with them, as Mr. Yamada's wife turns to go and help out in the fight because she has combat abilities now. And Yamada says to Kiyoshi as he runs off, "Kiyoshi, you really are amazing. You become a truly outstanding exorcist. Don't you die on me."
Yeah, I like the choice.
Hooray!
It was good.
Yeah.
Scanning through it real quick, I did have to remember that Cook's name is Cook. I misread that as I read very quickly as Cock Obliterator, and I was like, what a move that is. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, there's some very advanced techniques going on in this battle, yes.
Yeah. Good stuff, and very happy for Mama, what would be her name?
Yamamada.
Yamamada.
New Exorcist.
Marriagetoxin, Nick.
Damn it! God damn it! I knew it would come back. I didn't have that one bookmarked in the folder. Marriagetoxin, chapter 148. That's right, Arashiyama and Ushio came across the nude woman with wires coming out of her. And Arashiyama recognizes her as the lady who was with Toshiro back during that arc. So yeah, I guess she was there. Now that I see her in the full outfit, and I'm like, oh right,
Oh
completely
yeah.
forgot about her though.
Oh yeah. I also
Kimie
like that
asks,
they're in the process of doing this. They at no point ever unshackle her. Like they're
no,
just
no,
like,
no,
we have to cover up her modesty, but leave the. I mean, she could be
yeah,
dangerous.
yeah, the woman is very bleary. She starts saying, you know, like Toshiro-sama, run, and Kimie realizes that, you know, like they need to help this person. Ushio's saying like, we can't stay here. We got to keep moving and Arashiyama's just like, let's take her with us, and puts her jacket on the girl and says she wants to go see Toshiro. And rumor is he's being kept here, so we might meet him along the way. And Ushio's like, she used to be your enemy, wasn't she? They tried to kill you. And Arashiyama says, yeah, I guess so, but doesn't your heart just break for her? And I can tell, look, my hammies can tell that they aren't going to harm me anymore. And the hamster's like, yeah, everything's fine. But Ushio reacts to this by thinking to herself, like, they say that the best specialists can sense the flow of bloodlust, and she senses it. So, a little bit of bigging up Arashiyama there. Unfortunately, doesn't help her to detect the bloodlust of the person who attacks them at this point. As God, what is his name? Toadstool. He shows up with a whole bunch of monkeys to attack. Ushio manages to blast some of them away, but he sneaks up on her while she's distracted with that, and with his very claw-y fingernails slashes into her arm and back. And that's no good. And he says, what are you doing trying to interfere with my ambitions? Yeah. Apparently he has plans, which is no good.
Yeah, not a nice guy either.
No, he sucks. Garo and Toshiro with PK bust their way through a hatch out of the pit, and they are out of it now. And so Garo says, like, all right, we're going to go and take the top spot of the blood battle arena and go on to break out of the sanctuary. And Toshiro has already turned and is walking away from them. And he says, I've got my own business to take care of. And he's like, I don't ever want to see you again. But Garo calls for his attention and says, look, I can't forgive the things that you've done in the past, but I do owe you one this time. Thanks. And Toshiro pauses, and grimaces, spins around, looks like he's punching at Garo, but instead he stabs into the snake collar and just completely breaks it apart, freeing Garo from it. And he says, don't get the wrong idea. With this, we're even. So go die a pitiful, dumb death, and I'll kill you.
Yeah, I love the soon day die, big, pitiful, dumb death, and I'll come and kill you. Like, all right, man. He's excited that Garo's gonna end his marriage journey because he's like, oh, so you're available then.
A bunch of thugs show up, and they're like, hey, we're going to have you stop here. And PK points out, like, fights outside the blood battle arena are strictly prohibited. And Toshiro and Garo are like, let's go. We're gonna, we don't have to go. Yeah. We cut over to Toshiko, who is with her big-ass wolf partner, and a figure in the shadows is speaking with her. And Toshiko says, you know, I'm very much misunderstood. They all seem to be convinced that I'm scheming to gain riches and power. How silly. I am after only one thing, and one thing alone, a man who can match me. Lightning in the background. She says, as I was born a woman, it is only natural that I feel the desire to give birth myself. All right? Just say it like that, I guess. And she says that she specifically wants to give birth to a, quote, vastly superior next generation, and so she needs a outstanding mate as a result of that. And the figure she is talking to says, and that mate is Hikaru Garo. And Toshiko says, yes. For the moment we first met, my instincts have been throbbing. Oh, is that what they're calling it these days? Telling me that he's the one. No matter how many times he's torn to shreds, that look on his face each time he crawls back up is the very picture of a beautiful beast. Unfortunately, his skills haven't quite caught up to his will. He's like a little Shiba pup who's only just learned to bite down with his fangs. So I figured I'd train him directly myself. If I want him to mature into a truly magnificent wolf, fighting in the blood battle arena will not be sufficient. Bursting flesh, shattering bones, and gushing blood! Yes, what we need is a fierce and brutal battle royal! Of course, I must also polish my womanly charms. I'm sure you can offer me some practical advice, no? After all, you are the marriage advisor who understands Hikaru Gero the best. Isn't that right, Mei Kinosaki-san? Now, of course, we knew that Kinosaki had reached out to Tonoko in order to get this, help for Gero. But he's on the island, it turns out.
And it also makes sense because now we find out what Kinosaki has to do in return. Like there was like a, hey, you were doing me a favor by saving Gero from this situation, everything like that.
A quid quo pro.
Yeah, yes. Now we can see like, well, what does Kinosaki have to offer in return? It's like, oh yeah, he does know more than anybody what Gero is looking for in women and whatnot.
Yeah, I like the two kind of like twin like things that are like, all right, we've set up this like, set of romance partners, and then the series sets forward like, okay, here are the antagonistic plans, which are just different like resolutions to that genre. It's like, here's the first villain, the harem ending. Here's the next villain, another girl wants to be a love interest. Like,
the next antagonist is just going to be like the cruel, inevitable march of time.
You guys aren't all going to be hot forever.
Oh, no.
Damn it.
Unless you were like this 75-year-old OnlyFans model. She's gorgeous and perfect at all times. It looks like she's still 15. That's how gorgeous she
Jesus
is.
Christ. I don't know if that's a good thing. Yeah. So, hey, fights are happening now. Isn't that nice? Now, new Exorcist. Chapter 124, power identified. Who told you could have art that looks like this? Who said that you could do this?
I hate this series sometimes because every so often you see something and you're like, damn, this looks like it could be a really cool manga if it didn't suck ass all the time.
This looks like it'd be a really cool manga if it weren't New Exorcist.
Like seeing the color page and I'm like, wow, this art's really cool. I know that character sucks ass and like the chapter's probably much stupider than this. I haven't read it yet, but I assume there's some kind of I don't know, is there a new girl this chapter or some kind of piss scenario to get through?
Oh, man. So, the way that this chapter begins is just very off-putting to me because we get a recap of an arc that has not lasted very long thus far. It's only been like a month or so since the sports festival began. And we have this like recap, but then you think about like, well, but every single chapter has been wildly different from the next one. So I guess it is kind of important to just like be given a summary of like, here are the stakes and what is actually going on right now. That being said, the method this is delivered to us is that Shiroha says, here's the story so far. And she is a streamer who has like she's got like because she's got comments coming in on the screen over stuff. Like it's really strange. So
what I like is she's also reading off of a cue card.
Yeah. It's not a very long spiel she has to deliver.
And that's not how streamers work. I don't like they don't.
Well, some of them do.
Some of them do have like cue cards, but like not like one that's just positioned in front of you. That's I don't know. It's just a very weird setup.
I don't think that most of them would have it on like giant notepad paper. They would probably have a tablet that they would use for
Or
this.
because she's staring at a screen, just have it on the screen somewhere.
Nah. We gotta have.
I gotta be able to.
Where is her webcam? Does she have a webcam?
I gotta be able to see all these great comments like "pretty voice," "what's a hyo," and "I'm sleepy."
Yeah. So she says that the whole point of what they're trying to do is to get Soranaki to reveal the nature of his power, because as we were told recently, it's a different like element every single time that he reincarnates, essentially. All right. So we don't begin this chapter with Soranaki, though. We instead begin it with Gashidoraemon, who is scoping out some people in the crowd of attendees to the sports festival and observing, like, okay, there's some very athletic people here, but they don't have like good command energy. There's no one who's like really talented in this group. And he thinks back to a conversation that he had, which was like, yeah, there should be like a lot of tough guys there. It's a great place to get high quality soldiers, and so. Gashidoki Toki Literature Club says, Soranaki, I'm going to make you pay for making me attend this stupid thing later. And then he's like, I mean, I guess I might as well watch the games, though, now that I am here. And he makes sure to zoom in on the girls' miniskirt 50-meter hurdle race.
Why?
Yes. There's a bunch of girls in miniskirts who are going to be in a 50-meter race. Yes.
But why? I don't like...
because Soranaki is interfering in this and wants everyone to get really fired up and stuff. So
okay.
Gakura runs off because he's like, no, the girls can't be made to look sexy around people. They never do that around me. And before he can interfere, however, an explosion goes off in front of all the girls. And all the hurdles are blown away by Soranaki's power. And Gakuro, I guess, also helped out, as Gakuro says, you don't need to jump the hurdles. Just run like it's a normal race. And then both he and Gacha go fast, Gacha go faster, say, look at each other, and they're like, oh my god, it's you. And so Gacha, don't you forget about me, goes to Gakuro and says, oh, come join me. And Soranaki's like, I knew that he would interfere. You're soft on girls, and you've energized the crowd just as I hoped you would. So you see, it was a gambit. You see, he wasn't actually going to, he's going to, yeah. So people are like really excited because both of the guys are so like noble and stuff, and they're like, oh, they preserved the girl's dignity. That gets me fired up because everyone just wants something to be excited about, I guess.
I don't understand though, because I thought the joke is that they're going to do a mini skirt hurdle, but then we see in the explosion that all the girls have shorts on underneath their skirts. So who gives a shit? But then everyone's like, no, actually you did just save the day, Gakuro. You like, and this dude, like you really like this is what true nobility looks like. Like chivalry is not dead. And you're like, what are we doing here anymore, Nick?
I feel like the girls' shorts are long enough that you should see some of them in the shot of them before it's revealed that they're wearing the shorts. Like, it feels like someone put them on them in between shots. So
that's actually Gakuro's new power. Modesty protector! Zeno shorts! And he shoots forward and he just slides shorts up on everybody before they could ever be indecent.
Oh my god. So some people, look at Gacha Dune Part 2 and they're like, where are you from? Are you British? And he turns to them and goes, get lost. And he's really mean to them and stuff. Then he thinks to himself like, oh, I'm going to make Gakuro Yajima join my group, which means I can't just randomly kill these people. So instead he goes over to Gakuro and says, fight me. If I win, you'll join my group. If you win, I'll grant one of your wishes. All right. And Gakuro starts to say, I have no reason to do that.
That sounds like a bad idea.
I'm not brave at all. Oh my gosh. So of course Nue accepts on his behalf because of course she fucking does. And she looks at Gakuro and like psychically communicates to him that we need to get Soraki to compete, and so we need to amp up the energy more. So we'll use this match with Gasha Dokuro Yaiba, the 1000 attack, 400 defense monster from Yu-Gi-Oh! Set Pharaoh's Servant. I think I got all that right. God damn it!
Good
I've forgotten
Lord.
so many facts from school.
As though it were
So-
like, like instead of you were like, oh, how am I like my AP Yu-Gi-Oh class? I can't believe I've forgotten everything from it.
So Nue says like, all right, here's what you're going to have to do. Gasha Doki Doki Panic. If you want to fight Gakuro, you'll have to take us down first. And she gestures to the girls in the party, basically. And so they square off against each other. And the match is going to be a costumed giant ball roll. So Shitotsu and a bunch of other girls are there in bikinis while fucking Gasha, damn, look at that bacon sizzle. And they're just like, he's just there normally. And they're like, oh my god, all these girls are in swimsuits. And so Gakuro, modestly police, goes to give them towels and stuff. And Nue says, hold on, Gakuro, this is Shitotsu's plan. And she looks up at, God, I'm running out of things. He's been in so much of this chapter. Gasha.
Do re mi fa sol la ti do.
Thank you. And she says, all right, let's all do our best. And she like acts all cute and has all the girls lean in with all their, like boobs and stuff. And she thinks to herself,
Do we know these girls besides Shitotsu?
no. So
Because one of them has like a mask on, and I'm like, is that just a
this
girl?
feels like an important detail.
Is that just a girl in your school who like wears like the mask over her nose at all points in times, or is this a bad guy design?
These are not like NPC character designs. I get your point, yes. So she thinks to herself, haha, I saw that. Gasha, don't do drugs. The girls would have ended up flashing their panties during that 50-meter hurdle race, and so you shut it down, which means that you're soft on women. So that means that this is her plan, which is like, oh, all us girls will be all in bikinis and stuff like that, and it'll get all flustered and soft on us, and then that'll be our opening in order to defeat them. Haha! And she says, I begged my friends to help with this. So they're just Shitotsu's friends. They're not actually characters. And so she's like, oh, let's shake on it. And instead, Gasha Miredo says, put on some clothes, you're going to catch colds. And immediately all three of the girls get in like onesies, like cast costume mascot onesies instead, and are shivering in terror. So Shitotsu's the only one who doesn't react to this. And she's like, what the fuck? I thought he was supposed to be soft on women. What the hell? Like, that's crazy. And because the girls are cowering, they aren't like able to compete. So it's just her, and so they're just rolling these giant balls and stuff. And she is mocked with, "You're a warrior, so wearing a swimsuit doesn't change that."
I hate this fucking manga so much.
It's got to be from like some sort of gotcha game, like when you get like the summer collections. Wearing a swimsuit doesn't change that you're a warrior. And oh my god, he handles this ball so.
It's
so elegantly.
Do you remember the old? You may not have because you weren't watching wrestling back then. But there was an old SmackDown versus Raw commercial, and this was one of the games where like they added. I can't remember if it was bra and panties matches or something else, but the joke in the commercial was that Brock Lesnar was the one advertising it, and that he was going to get in a bra and panties match with like I think Tori Wilson, and like the end of the commercial has him like spinning her bra on his finger, like he won. And I always want to see the idea that he actually did participate in the match. And just
Gave her like triple power bombs and ripped it off.
Just like 6 F5s, and he's like, finally I've won. like no
Holds
mercy.
it up like the championship belt.
Like no mercy, anything like that.
Suplexes are right on her head.
It's just like Tiger Driver 91, just like the worst, like the most, like he didn't even Savage Goldberg this badly.
So as it turns out, Quinn, Gasha Doran is really good at handling his ball. And so Shitotsu, however, has a plan, which is that she's going to use her ball to knock into his ball. And instead, he's put spin on his ball in advance and knocks Shitotsu's ball back. And it causes her bikini top to start to come off. And everyone goes, oh, no.
Nick, this is a real big thing because, as established in this universe, a woman is defenseless when her top pops off. Like, if a swimsuit bikini falls off, a woman can't do anything. They are as helpless.
She won't be able to tie it back on.
She's basically as helpless as a baby at this point. So it is actually very important that everyone addresses how terrifying of a situation this is.
The whole crowd goes, oh, look out! Yeah. Wait, is that... Hang on. Is this Gakuro in the background? All right. Somebody in the crowd who might be Gakuro covers his eyes. So, all right, that's good for them. But it's okay. It's okay, Quinn. Problem solved because Gasha Dolph Lundgren pops his ball and uses the rubber makeup of it to cover her instead, and then he wins. And everyone goes, gentlemen, yeah! And Soranaki in his seat goes, a wardrobe malfunction there would have made people feel sorry for her, and it would have cooled the mood right down. Are you sure about that? Are you 100% positive that this crowd, at least 1/3 composed of high school age guys, would have cooled down at the sight of a high school age girl's bikini top coming off? Are you sure? So, anyway, he's like, oh, what a thrill. And so now we get into the final event.
The Road Warriors. He's like, ooh, what a rush.
That's right. Now it's time for the final event, the 800-meter relay. So Soranaki squares off against Niue and stuff. And so we get like intros to like some of the other teams, so like the representatives of the teams, because both North High and Soranaki have two teams representing them, ... somehow. And there's just a joke that like the second guy representing North High is just some dude again. So there are just a bunch of people on the Soranaki teams that have shown up from the fucking like Spirit Association thing, I guess. We get their like icons briefly. Anyway,
they're different level 4s, aren't they? I know some of those designs seem familiar from the level 4s. I don't know who the fucking like Halucha character is. That's a weird one, but I don't know. As established earlier, some characters just wear like fancy masks in this universe.
Right. But Soranaki gets the baton from one of his partners and immediately shoots through some of the timers and through wires and stuff and darts out in front of everybody, in front of Niue. And oh my gosh, they've discovered what the true shape of Soranaki's power is, because it's the energy that carries the entire era. Electricity! And everyone's like, oh my gosh! And Soranaki says, at the center of this dazzling, blinding world, there I am. And he does get an admittedly pretty cool page-and-a-half spread showing off his electricity power.
Nick, this chapter's so fucking dumb. Also, electricity is so boring for the thing to be. Like, I know it makes sense, and I even suggested it before, but it is a very boring answer to this thing. Why didn't he just have electricity power? You know what? I don't care. I can't sit here and think this much about it. This is a dumb chapter. I didn't read it until just now, and there's so much going on, but it's almost all exclusively very, very dumb. That's the new Exorcist way of life.
Yes, it is. I hope the Gasha Devil Crab doesn't show up again for a little bit, because I gotta like write down a whole bunch of those.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get like a full list to go off of. In the meantime, though, Akane-banashi should not feature any kind of running gags.
Story 185. We get a flashback to Akemi, who comes across a young Kaisei who has been sitting outside the gate into the Arakawa household. And he says, all right, you win. And says, that's really impressive, varying the freezing cold like that. So he warms them up, and Kaise says it's no big deal compared to the coldness that I felt before. And we get a brief flash of a whole bunch of like overdue bills and invoices and everything, and debtor knocking at his door to harass them to pay. Yeah, he is brought before Isho by Iken, who says, we got a potential apprentice here to take a look at him. And says in the narration, I was sick of being helpless, and so I cling to his image of power. But I was cut forward to the present. About Akane has, been having a conversation with Kaichi about, why did he fail to become a Shinichi? And so Kaichi says, well, if you're curious about that, first step is going to be to focus on Anisan's performance here, because a picture's worth 1,000 words. And I'm sure you'll be capable of sensing from his art the nature of self that seeps forth. So the two of them go to watch. Huge adulations come Kaise's way as he takes the stage. He thanks everyone for coming. And he says, on the New Year's Eve, the light of paper lanterns no longer strikes fear. This is a comic haiku that has been passed down because it speaks of the paper lanterns that samurai carry in the night. Normally, a rather terrifying sight. But on New Year's Eve, it's a different situation. The longer lanterns held by debt collectors are the true terror there, because people owed money all over, and it was common for them to flee in the night over New Year's. And then he launches into his story, which is about, a family being worried because someone hasn't brought the money home for the debt that they owe on New Year's. And as he goes into it, we get more images from Kaise's childhood, all of those unpaid dues, the hiding in the dark from debt collectors as they knock on the door, and every image from his past is cast in all negative spaces, all black with white outlines. And as the characters in his story are hiding from debt collectors, we get shots, of course, of him hiding from his mother's debt collectors. And there is this very almost serene feeling about him in the present, but everyone is staring in a chill because of the terror that he has managed to invoke in them by drawing upon that real life experience. And Akane thinks to herself, I've felt a chill from his Rakugo before, but what is this? Kaise thinks to himself about how, with his mother being hospitalized, with no way to repay their debts, draining all sense of life in the face of merciless reality, this period of symbolic winter lasted through my apprenticing period. And he thinks back to his training with Isho, and he's practicing Jugemu with Isho. And he says he was not the kind of person who would make special allowances for a child, but for that very reason, I found his gaze and the coldness of this place to be comfortably familiar. And in time, I began to think of this as a home for me. My naivete astounds me. How could this be a home? Have you forgotten that this man, Isho Arakawa, is a demon?
Yeah.
And of course, it's coming back into the whatever happened at the Shinichi promotion test that he failed.
Yeah, we're gonna get a little bit more of his backstory. We're seeing this context, and then presumably it's going to really come to a head during this big contest coming up. Well, not even a contest, just a showcase, which is good. I like that we're kind of breaking things up, and not everything has to be like a contest, and there's a specific metric for who was the best and whatnot. It'll be interesting just to see all these kind of pieces at work in this competition. I like that just nobody likes Isho. There's not a single person in that dude's corner really, except for maybe his Arakawa 4 students. But outside of that, Truly, everybody's like, yeah, this guy sucks ass. What a dickhead.
There's a lot of great touches with the visuals in this chapter, with the winter of my youth symbolism. So like, of course, with the negative space, with everything being black, there is like a snow effect that also is in some of the shots, and so of course the snow stands out against the black background. But as well, when we get all the flashbacks, it's like, oh, it's typical like flashback black frames on everything, but all the action looks normal up until you get to a point where there is some sort of turning point with the conversation that he had with Isho, where the very last panel that we get in the chapter is Kaisei, after hearing something from Isho, reverting to that visual style where he is in reverse, going back to that same feeling of insecurity. So, very good stuff.
All right, Nick, let's wrap up Weekly Manga Recap this week by talking about One Piece Chapter 1167, Ida's Sons. I just want to say the cover page is really, really cute. It's about a cat stealing a book about fish. And everyone's supposed to be mad, but they can't help it because that cat has a little bandana tied around its neck. And it's raining on its back legs, so it's a cute little guy, and it seems real excited about that book.
Big book of fish.
Yeah. Okay. So, we are in the flashback. We start by jumping around all these different places where people are talking about how all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this terrifying thing shows up and is destroying everything. And everybody's like, oh, like a Neptunian must have done this, right? And it's like, no. Oh, well, you were in the Florian Triangle, right? No. And we see that the answer is that the giant pirates have been kind of hiding in mist and jump out and then just kind of destroy the ships. And for a lot of these people who have never seen a giant before, they do not know how to process it. It is truly terrifying for them. We get a little narration. It's like, hey, all the kind of new rookies at that period were going on to make their own name and existence. But hey, Roger, he completed traveling the world. And everyone thought that his arrest would be a great demonstration of the Navy's power. But instead, he whipped everyone into a frenzy with this One Piece statement. And as a result, to counteract that, the Navy has started recruiting more and more giants to bolster their ranks, essentially. Oh my god, I hate this mechanic. So, Harold is returning. He is faithfully serving as a tool. As said, he's given official access to the Holy Land this year, and he is told about a Shallows Covenant because his position is a devoted blade. It's not one of the, the 10 Holy Knights or whatever, but it is,
they're the tippy tops.
Something similar. So a Shallows Covenant is in there, but then there's also a Depths Covenant and an Abyssal Covenant. And those are only reserved for 13 exclusive individuals who can enter in a contract with the true God. And I got some real bad Kingdom Hearts flashbacks as I was reading. I was like, this is the 13 parts of darkness again. I'm gonna lose my mind over it. How many of them are Riku? 6 of them again?
At least it's 13 between both of those covenants, as opposed to it's like there's a Shallows Covenant and then another covenant, and then there's 13 on the last one. It's like, no, there's not that many of them, at least.
But they say, hey, if you should know, the day should come that you are made a proper knight, then you will know the truth in the depths of the world. And, Harold does not actually care about that stuff. He's like, Elbath will be in the world government at that point, basically. Yeah, but fine. Of course. Why would we ever go against our word? Ha ha ha. Cut over to St. Garling, who is kind of lamenting, like, this seems like a dumb plan. Like, can we really expect the King of Elbath to take orders? But just kind of notes like, all right, you know what? We'll keep a phone on you at all times. You're free to visit the lower world, but you will not speak a word of what goes on here. Cut over. He's hanging out with the King Neptune. They make a joke about how their kids are both kind of maniacs, but he's going to have a daughter one day. We should promise her to the Loki when it happens. They're not going to do that. Cut over. Harold
What a random idea. Like, I saw that and I was like, well, now there's going to be some interaction between them at some point, right? Like, that's not just going to get brought up and nothing comes of it. But it's just like, that's so strange.
It would make sense. He's the only man big enough to actually, do that, I guess, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Apparently someone says he calls her Shaggy, and maybe that's the Shaggy person that he's been talking to, Loki's been talking to on the phone. I don't know. There's so many things.
My God. That'd be so weird. Oh, no. It turns out that Shirahoshi is on the phone.
Cut over. Harold is returned to Elbath. Saul is there. He's like, hey, Saul, you can definitely come and join with the educated, but here, could you open a school? And Saul's like, yeah, sounds like a good idea. Cut over. The Fisher Tiger stuff is going on. I don't know why this is relevant to this scene. Cut over.
No. Hold on. Fisher Tiger comes across someone who he thinks is going to fight him and stop him. The mysterious figure instead dashes by and says, I left the armory unlocked. Here's how to get there. And that is important a page later. So.
It's important because, yes, it is Shanks who I didn't even know. Like, here's the thing. Fisher Tiger's backstory is not my favorite. I was like, that may have been a piece that was already in the Fisher like Tiger flashback. I had no idea. Yeah, Shanks did it at some point. He was working with the 10 Holy Knights. It connects with that. This chapter feels like a fucking Wikipedia article. There is so many things that it's like, well, hold on, we got to connect this to this and this to this. It's a lot going on. Shanks is like, hey, I hated everything going on down there, and that's why I'm working up here. There's probably more to it from that, but there is still so much left of this chapter that I am not going to spend more time on it, guys. I'm sorry. Cut back over to Elbath. Ida is dying. She is slowly being poisoned. She is suffering, and she can't work, essentially. It's pretty bad. Her daughter is like, well, I can try to do everything for you, but this is really, really bad. And they're just kind of note like, well, what about Harold? Harold will be heartbroken if you die. If he sees this, maybe if he visits all the elders, he can make you, his true wife. And he's like, I prefer to run this little bar, and meeting all those sailors makes me feel like I've been helping Harold out in my own way. But then Loki shows up and he's like, hey, outsider hag. And the daughter comes out. Is not Ida's kid. Okay, cool. They pop out and they're like, hey, so you can't shout out that sort of stuff. And he's like, nope, I got fresh meat to feed her. And he just killed a bull, basically, and is like leaving it there. And he's like, yeah, this bar's a nice chill place for me to hang out.
Movie's gonna love this guy.
Yeah, he's like, I need this bar to open back up again. They note that Haryuden is out in sea with his crew at this point. He's looking to try to find a cure for his mom. And Ida's, like, oh, they're all making a big deal out of nothing. I'm just fine. I'll be okay. And we cut over to the last page where Loki is speaking to people in Loki's mother's home. And they're like, yeah, we're just saying we don't want that lady to become queen because she's not really one of us,
Because we're evil.
They're just like, hey, our queen was already is still kind of the queen in a way. She's dead, but she's still the queen.
Hey, Loki, you want to see me poop directly out of my chin? Look at my weird butt chin.
So Loki, just throwing it out there. We did this super cool, funny thing where we've been giving her a little bit of poison that basically guarantees she's going to die. And Ida says, in an unconnected scene, she's like, it doesn't matter if we're related by blood. Loki's my dear sweet boy, just like Haryuden is. Cut over, and Loki has destroyed this village. It is on fire. He has a giant hammer, and he is grabbing this man. I say by the throat, but it's already kind of been snapped, so
his hand is too big to get around his throat. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says, I remember what my real mother did. She cast me out of the tree into the underworld. You want fortune? You people make me stick. Ida isn't gonna die, is she? Because she's the only mother I have.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're getting back into what the flashback allegedly was supposed to be about. Thank goodness. we are getting like, okay, stuff is moving forward. Consequences are going to happen with the giants now that like Harold is being like a direct puppet of the government, and Loki is causing all this destruction that is, of course, going to, we know, like get him like cast out of society because he's doing all this stuff. But it really does feel like this flashback has spread itself way too thin. It feels like MCU ass storytelling in terms of like, look, we gotta set stuff up, we gotta connect stuff together so that people will want to check out other things. And it's like, yes,
if we
but
don't,
you are directly sacrificing time that could make this a more interesting story.
If we don't establish that Shanks was there back then who's gonna watch the Shanks solo show on Disney Plus, Nick?
Right. And look, I do think that some of these details that we have gotten in the course of all of this have been interesting. There are even a couple of things in this very chapter that I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. That like, Shanks basically pretended to be working for the government for a while to achieve some sort of like other ends. But again, like a lot of this is just kind of like stuff that was just happening at the same time as all of the giant stuff, instead of the things that are just related to making that story more interesting and more compelling. And it feels like this whole thing of like, oh, Ida was the only mother that she ever had, that Loki ever had, and stuff. And it's like, yes, I mean, like I remember that from like a month and a half ago before all of the God Valley stuff happened, but it feels like we've really lost momentum in terms of like how these threads connect to each other and stuff because we were so focused on that other thing.
Definitely. And I think even more because we have spent so long doing that other stuff, this just hasn't been an Oda quality flashback. Like, Oda's usually very good at pulling the heartstrings. And if Ida dies right now, I don't think I'm going to feel that much because even though I'm told objectively she's a very nice person, her words and actions seem to suggest she is, because as you mentioned, it's so broken up what she's done over the course of this like 5-month long flashback. It just doesn't hit very well. This hasn't really felt like a Loki flashback. This has felt like the One Piece Almanac in parentheses featuring the Loki flashback to keep you like understanding what's happening. I don't want to be like mean and say like this is a bad chapter. Oda is, a very talented storyteller, but there is just too much going on, and so many places we keep bouncing in between that I don't know. Maybe Oda needs to keep some stuff to SBS's. Like maybe there's some stuff that like just the nerds have to be like, well, wait, who was on the phone? Who was Shaggy? And he's like, oh, that was Chihiroshi or some shit. I don't know. We didn't need this scene with him in fucking King Neptune.
It really feels like all the God Valley stuff should have been like a full ass like Tale of Bardock thing where it's like, look, we'll just put this over here separate from like actually fitting directly into the main story as something that you experience in the flow of it.
I still maintain the God Valley stuff should have been in the Blackbeard flashback that we're already dealing with, like, because that's not going to hit the same way when that flashback comes around. And I'm like, oh right, like he lost his dad there. I don't know. It's ultimately fine. I'm also just kind of tired of this flashback, so I just kind of wanted to say my piece on that.
Yeah, it feels like there should have been some more stuff that was included in what we've gotten so far that have just been like alluded to instead of like explored in as much detail as it was. But yeah. Okay.
All right.
That is it for manga this week. So what would you say your favorite chapter this week was?
Yeah, I think for favorite chapter, I will... you can go first on that. I'm trying to run through them all again in my head.
Yeah, I'm kind of trying to do the same, honestly. I don't think that anything really stood out to me. I think that I'm probably going to... I think for sheer, like... I think for the sheer, well, that was a whale, I'm going to say Dandadan. It's like a whale showed up and it immediately imploded under its own weight. And then there was some nice feelings between Okarun and Momo at the end. And then fucking, Turbo Granny showed up. I think that that's going to be my chapter of the week.
Yeah. I think I will give mine to I said this was tough. Nothing really super duper stood out. I think I'll give it to Dandadan. I had fun reading it. And I do like that we're trying to equalize the amount of damage done by this weird, amnesia storyline arc by being like, hey, they had this one battle, and Okarun was like super happy that he saw the old Momo and her in this moment.
Yeah. For my MVP, I am going to go with uh I will I think go with Kitsugi from Ichi the Witch. I know that he was basically just kind of like he's just kind of set up Deskres for a cool moment, but the level of pettiness that we got from him, the way that he uses power to regenerate, the fact that we now see that he is being a little evil bastard and stuff, and that he is being used as the setup for like how like the worst magics operate in terms of just having very petty trials. Really set the scene well. And also the way that he so easily manipulated Kizashi to do what he wanted.
Amusingly, I'm picking Kizashi just because it really made me
Totally
laugh.
get it.
I really got a good laugh out of him being like, "We're all gonna be super best buddies once I kill all
Best
these people."
buddies.
Like
Yeah.
like in his own mind, but man, he really believes it. The
And,
audience,
and following up on that with it's like if you kill him, then he was never really good enough to be your friend to begin with. You're right.
very smart. Ichi the Witch won chapter of the week from the audience, and Denji from Chainsaw Man won character of the week.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for joining us for Weekly Manga Recap. Hey, we're back on Wednesday. Isn't that nice? We will be back again next week here on twitch.tv/RoloT to do more recordings of stuff. We are on YouTube, youtube.com/Weekly Manga Recap for the video version of the show, which features a opening sequence by Milo Jack Stillitz and Winslow Cheddar, and occasionally also title cards by Steve Man, whose artwork you can check out by just searching for Steve Man art anywhere across the internet. We are also available in audio form on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com, on podcast feeds like Spotify and iTunes and that kind of places. Bonus content's available on patreon.com/weeklymangarecap if you want monthly bonus episodes and to financially support the show as well. Wherever this show gets uploaded, there is going to be a link to our Discord server in the description, so look for that. If you join up on that, then you'll get an alert when the stream goes live on our next episode. You can also get that if you follow us on social media. I am Nick F. Time. Quinn is at RoloT. And we are at Weekly Manga Recap. Also be sure to follow WMR Votes so that you can know when the poll is available to make your vote heard for MVP and favorite series of the week. The Google Doc, maintained by NinjaX3i, keeps track of all sorts of helpful statistics associated with the show, including all those votes, as well as suggestions for recommendations that we have taken over the course of the long run of our podcast.
Yes. I'm going to add in, by the way, because I didn't announce a new recommendation before. I am currently in finals, so this is not going to be anything coming up anytime soon. But for our next recommendation, we are going to read, this was recommended by Squirrel Dude. You'll see why I made that faux pas in a moment. But this is a series on Manga Plus called Hokkaido Gals are super adorable. I've just been told it is a cute romance with cute art in a cute region of Japan. It's crossed out there, but looking at it very quickly, I thought it said a cuckold region of Japan. I was like, is that what Hokkaido's known as? But yeah, we'll check out Hokkaido Girls. Are super adorable. First chance we get gals. I'll have to remember to say gals.
That's right. We're going to do another Slice of Waifu series, guys.
I will love this one, I'm sure.
I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad.
I have no idea. I just know that we will read it in about 2 weeks. All right. That's it. That's all I have. Nick, you want to get out of here?
I do. Let's do that.
Bye, everybody. Nick's sailing off.